Okay guys, so we're going to be starting off with just the base colors now. I'm airbrushing. I know not everybody has an airbrush, but right now it's one of the best things for it that I found. I'm using a dark blue pale from Model Color. So yeah, I will be spraying this guy up just to do the initial base after I put my gloves on here. So pretty much, let's get my airbrush going, and just a couple thin layers. Try to match it up with the pictures that came with the book. So should be interesting to see how it turns out. I try to go to a certain angle so that it leaves some of the shade, some of the shadows I should say. There you go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to give the Houston a wash. And what I tend to do, and I learned this from a friend of mine, is I'm going to take a little bit of Null oil from the GW paints, and I'm just going to add a little bit here. And we end up using actual airbrush flow improver instead of water. So I'll mix that up, and depending how dark you want it, it's a matter of how much flow improver you put in, but apparently the flow improver helps it literally flow, and it doesn't tend to pool too much into certain areas you may not want it. So this will darken this up a bit, give it that gray black kind of tone to it, and I just pretty much cover the whole model. You can see already it's going into the spots that I want it to go. Yeah, just cover the whole model. Don't worry too much if it pools. Come back with your color. I do use a shade brush from GW for this, and I always do this before, like I paint the ship before I do the base. Some guys, you know, they've asked me that. But yeah, I find always painting the miniature, get it done before I do the bases. Sometimes with other miniatures, I actually do the bases separate, depending on how detailed I want to do bases. But there's different ways, and you can always check on YouTube and stuff. So yeah, you can see it's already flowing, and any parts that you might not want it to pool, just dry your brush up and take some away. So we'll just turn it like that. You see how it's pooling right there a little bit? It's not bad because I'll come back with a dry brush, fix that up. But like something like that, if you want to take away, you just get some off your brush. You'll soak it up. So yeah, we'll let that dry. Okay, as you can see, she's finally dried. So you can see a little bit of a tint, darken it up a little. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back with my dark blue pale and just give it a little dry brush just to bring back some edges. So I will take some paint off of my brush and literally just going to do a dry brush on the edges, just like that. Do it again. You don't want too much paint on your brush, otherwise you'll get some pretty big blobs on your ship. And you can see already it's starting to brighten up a little bit compared to the other side. So we'll do this side now. Just more paint off. And you can see the difference from the back end to the front. And yeah, you just brighten the edges up a bit. And you don't have to put any hard pressure, nothing on. You just drag your brush. That's pretty much it. And I'll hit the other side again. Just to brighten her up a little bit. There we go. Just like that. So for another little highlight that I'm going to do, I'm actually going to take some of my sky gray and mix it with some of the dark blue pale just to brighten it up a little bit. You still want to have a little bit of the blue-ish, greenish looking color to it. And you don't want it too bright, but again, another dry brush. And it should make things pop a little bit more. And I'm not going to go too heavy with this dry brush, but just on the top edges. And try to keep the hull a little darker. But you can see already that it's making things pop a little bit. And we'll do the other side. Same idea. Just kind of catches the edges and brightens them up a little bit. And that's usually like with one, amount of paint on my brush. I really don't go back. There's enough on here to work with these miniatures at this scale. Could even go on the top of the hull a little bit, which we're going to paint again anyways later. But yeah, there you go. A little bit brighter. Okay, now we're going to do the deck, and I've chosen buff from Model Color of Vallejo stuff. So we're trying to match the picture, right? So we'll go with the buff and see how it goes, and then I'll end up giving it a wash a little later on. But it's pretty accurate color, I'd say. Just gotta really watch with where you're applying it to. You might have to go over it with a couple of layers. I'm off camera there. And you may have to come back and touch up some parts, right? So, yeah. I'd love to airbrush this part of it, but it's just so small that you kind of can't. So I'll just do my best with the brush. But yeah, that's kind of color that she's gonna be. Just get a little bit of water here on my brush. Definitely use a lot of reference pictures from online and whatnot to get your desired look for your vessel, for your miniatures, what you guys like. But yeah, we'll finish doing this up, and we'll show you what she looks like when she's done. Okay, so there is the buff on the deck. Turned out pretty decent. I'm going to give it a wash, and then I'll give it a dry brush again. So yeah, pretty simple. You may have to go back and touch it up with your original color, like you can see right down here. I had to go back, and what I'll do is I'll just go back and like try to blend it into the hull. Otherwise it's not bad, like, so don't be afraid or whatever. If you made a mistake, you can always go back and fix it. But yeah, I'll do the wash on the deck, and then we'll be back. Okay, we're back, and we've let it dry. So we ended up doing some of the detail work. Just you see the boat here. Ended up doing the guns themselves are a lighter gray and whatnot. Even the little turrets here. Did a gray and then a little bit of white on the bridge. The smokestacks, black, and then the back area here as well. So you can see from the top, we'll give these a quick wash, and then we'll hit it again with the same colors just to bring them out again, and then we'll actually do the water. So here we go. So with washing the guns and whatnot that I'm doing here, I actually don't dilute the Nuln Oil on this one. I want it to come out and make sure that it's quite visible for these turrets, especially like the actual barrels here. So I'll do this like so. I'll hit that back turret like so. And it's not like you're drenching your brush, just enough, right? Even these here, just to give it some depth. Got your little boats at the back. Even the bridge, I'll give it a little hit. As we're doing this, just start thinking maybe of what blues you want to use for your water. Last time I did them, it was more of teal blend that I did, which turned out good because it really matched the play mats that you get with the game itself. So yeah, put them over there. That's pretty much good for that. So as you can see a little bit more detail on it. Now I am going to switch over to my blue for my base, and I decided to go with Stormy Blue for my base. Gotta get my larger base brush. There we go. Let's paint on my palette. Yeah, it's nice, dark, fairly darker blue. And we're just going to go to town. Yeah. Careful that you're not painting your ship, and you won't have to come back and touch it up. I found the GW base brush large has an angle to it, so that's what I end up using. I find it works quite well. Just nice and slow. And this is just your base, so it'll be definitely brightening up. I'll do some dry brushes like we did with everything else. A lot of the technique is just dry brush. So But yeah, we'll show you when it's done. So we're back, and that is the blue, the stormy blue that I went with for game color, stormy blue. So very, very rich. It is going to be changing a fair bit. And this is the base color. We're just waiting for it to dry. And then we'll hit it with a Drakenhof Nightshade Citadel blue shade. Don't have to necessarily use that. You can use whichever you like. That's the one I like. I tend to use GW shades. And then we'll hit it with a Arianhod Blue from Scale Color 75 Fantasy and Games. And then we'll do a dry brush of gray and then white to finish it off. And then, of course, do the rim. So we'll let this dry and we'll come back. Okay, so the wash is done, drying, that is, and we are going to put on some of the other blue. And you're going to notice it's definitely brighter than that blue there. So now we're going to semi-dry brush this onto that as well. Just because we want to keep some of that depth of the ocean. So you see how it's already and that's all you're going to do. We can always go back on top of a wash if we've covered too much. So yeah, see that part right there? It just feels like I covered a little too much right here, but it's okay. We're lots of time to play around. Just need a little more paint. So yeah, like I said, I'm trying to paint a little different color of what I did last time. I'll show you the difference because I do have those ships still here. But we'll see how this turns out. Now, I'm not going to do the rim yet of the base, just because we're continuously handling it right now. So we're just gonna continue that like so. Now I'm gonna just go and grab the other ship that I have back here, just to give you an idea. So that's the difference in color. Ships are very similar, but you're going to notice obviously this blue is darker, right? And that's more of that teal. So we're going to try to do the same effect. We're just going to try to stick to this kind of blue. So, and if that doesn't work, then I will redo it. Right now, I'm going to take some of my sky gray, I believe, and try to dry brush just some parts of it to make that top of the waves kind of thing kind of look. So just give me a little bit here, get some paint on my brush. Okay, so So all you do is just going to drag it. Just on the parts that you may want to lighten up. It doesn't have to be too much with this, just because you don't want to lose the depthness of the water, right? So we'll keep adding a little bit more. You just want to lightly kind of go over these wakes a little bit, just to give it that look. See, I'm not 100% sold on that blue, but it will change once I do the trim. Also, I am now gonna go with some white just to do a little bit more. I might have to go back a little bit. Don't want to get too much on there. You can see how that turned out. Not too bad, eh? At the front. I'll work on these sides a little more. So now we're going to do the trim. And that will be my base brush again. It's going to brighten right up. See? May just do the trick. Sometimes you'll have to go over it a few times. Just like any base. But we will get that done and be right back. Okay, so we did the blues, the base, even the little ship tag name there, still drying. I'll go back with it with a white to brighten it up. But that is pretty much it. So that is this one that I just did, the Houston. This was the Chicago I did a while back when I got the demo set. So very similar. Grays are different, whatnot. The ocean base obviously is fairly different. Still undecided which one I like better. I'm actually kind of leaning towards the darker blue right now. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty simple. Really, you can hammer these out quite quickly. You know, just during the night, whatever. But yeah, there you go. Hope you enjoyed. And any questions, just hit me up.